Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. Woo! Ha! This is cool. Yeah, I'm happy to come into this. I'm happy to get into this. So let's get back from where we left off. Ooh. When something is wrong, some humans assume and do not reverse the process of doing what is right. When most mortals talk about corruption, they lump everyone with it because sometimes it is easy to blame others and move forward without changing anything. There are those who are found to be unworthy, for example, rape and murder, who cause an officer to sell their soul for money. Because the individuals who commit these crimes are wicked at heart, when they bribe instead of being exposed, they show no remorse. It will only take time for others to realize. The same with those well spoken of English. It is time to. It is right that their time is brought to an end. However, even though forgiveness exists, the most difficult person to forgive is the one who sins against you and then refuses to repent or even show remorse. Tinacho was sitting with Maneko, learning every detail about how minds work. With this amount of knowledge, he was even beginning to think of starting his own business. Those who learn more about our minds are likely to work in them because there is always that interesting part when those who work in them realize how much minds make for them. When others went to work in these mines, they would initially say to one another, just when I have enough money, I'll leave these mines and never come back again, only to realize 20 years later, they haven't made enough money to put food on the table for the next 20 years that they need to retire, which is unfortunate. You should actually visit the labor museum. I think they usually tell about these stories. That alone should cause others to reconsider their perspective on the world. There is no interpretation. There is no interpretation for for there to be a chance. Sometimes there is a need to think through how to bring about a revolution. Tinashe and Maneko both stood up and walked out of the office knowing that there was only one company with mining operations throughout the city. And some of these mines had gone out of business. Only land degradation remains, and those left to deal with it do not benefit, even when there is an opportunity to be saved. Most people will later live in these places suffer greatly, and those who usually gain power and control over something like a mine take their chances to extract everything from it. Tinashe had received some advice about archaeology and how it was beneficial for Africans to study archaeology and history in a continent with so much to discover. He decided that home learning had to be. He saw that home learning had done a lot for him. Whatever that he was to learn, he was now going to learn outside of what Dr. Cho had pointed out to him, of which he has set him in the right direction. When men and women have decided how they want to change their lives, it will never be the same time that humans have crashed against one another, fighting to keep the clock ticking, forgetting for centuries if they ever had a chance to play a role in the modern world, what it will be. And if there is a chance that we can win our battles and put them to rest, we have our minds made up about the changing world. So the majority of Tinashe's time with Dr. Cho, he spent hours learning what it means to have the right perspective. And from there is more to understand about the world and the need we have to see a different perspective and to understand each other's perspective. That was the purpose for him to go and start archaeology, a subject he was introduced to from the moment he was adopted into Dr. Cho's house, which for him was not only a life-changing moment, but also a path he wanted for so long. Dr. Cho had achieved many awards through non-profit organizations based in Africa, seeking deep information about the world and where it all began. But there was still mining companies that had sought to turn it all apart. It will be very beneficial, especially in terms of a growing part and much better ways of the changing place, because the door of poverty had been closed and he had made he had made good friends on the way. Another door that he had opened only access to another door that opened only had given him access to the word machine, and from that he understood what was being dug out and what it was being used for. And whenever there is an opportunity to learn, it is much great. It is much a greater opportunity only for few individuals to reshape the world for everyone else. But this is not what happens because of capitalism. You're not allowed to say that. When opportunities when an opportunity is well and it blesses more than one yet, especially if it is anticipated well, people. It wasn't even on his mind to kick people out of these buildings, knowing that it could be used against him. Now it was the detective who was starting to do his work. The problem arises when the mind ceases to think and grow. When men and women find another way to achieve these goals, individuals must respond in a way that is beneficial to everyone. When the goal of allowing mankind to do what is right is met, the goal is achieved. The people are exactly where they should be when the idea is kept in mind. This detective wanted to keep the individuals who were living in these buildings because of poverty alone, but among them, some were determined to destroy those who had made such buildings habitable for those that had without, for the poor. Due to landlord neglect, somewhere around 100 years ago, these old buildings looked fresh and new, but a whole new generation of people came, and most of whom were looking for a way to improve their lives. But that doesn't turn out to be the story most of the times. And when the best have been and when we put our best, we create a progressive empires. And there is a need to become something else, that is being oneself and learning to achieve that idea. That will be made possible when innocent human beings were smuggled into the cartel. They were children, and if they were girls, they were raped and left pregnant to raise their children on their own. When an individual has an opportunity to change their way of thinking, it is much more difficult. Therefore, a generation of poverty often invites another generation of poverty, like always, right? However, when mankind focuses to and work hard to achieve what is right, they can expand their empire. It is the mindset of individuals who live in the world that needs to change, not the world itself. There is the possibilities of people working hard to achieve what they desire, and those who have chosen to be stable and act on changing the world are working hard to achieve it. And you know what? It's possible they do achieve it. He returned to the police station hoping to conduct a raid the next day. Despite the fact that some of the buildings had been cut off from the community, individuals rarely pass by them and do not have a single day when they hope to go inside because there are terrible people getting robbed every day. Hopeless people who would not dare to take risks and try to create new paradigm. Before going out, they prepared food and sat down in the car to eat. Now they were now waiting for the next morning for other cops to arrive with blue ribbons so that they can go and cover the bodies. Tinashe and Maneko had discovered something critical to their advancement. They discovered the need for change. As well as humans have achieved their goals, they still feel the need to have more and strive to achieve the very next goal. You must listen to David Goggins, whatever, but he talks about it. You need to keep growing. Human beings are meant to keep growing. The detective had his team of a few men whom he knew were very committed to getting the job done. They would use an 8-vehicle sitter car, which would suffice for them to search for dead bodies in the city. When times are tough, the right words are sometimes few and far between. Globalization and neoliberalism brought about abrupt changes in Africa. These hampered rather than aided African economic development. In comparison, neoliberalism portrayed competition as the defining aspects of human connections and was successful in preserving the political economic practices that made globalization appealing. Globalization on one hand was successful in ensuring the free flow of commodities and people across nation and international borders. Globalization and neoliberalism exacerbated the Western world's mania quest for African raw materials, making these raw materials the epicenter of hyper-corruption. It was not easy for him to make a choice after deciding to to stay away from drugs. Maneko is in the building, people. When individuals have reached the point and made the decision to go out there and achieve the right goals, it will take time to complete everything. But what is required through is patience. Once completed, the decision to stop smoking or whatever he was smoking will be his own. The consequences of making good decisions after making bad ones begin with being conscious of the mistake. When humans accomplish this, they will never accept the true crisis that humans are facing. When people choose to not to look back, the challenges that arise over time can be viewed as either temptation or normal life challenges. Maneko was in a position contemplating the way forward, and those who had the opportunity, they still had a long way to go when his brothers were taking all these drugs after he had been free of them for about 24 hours. And being playful was not an option, especially playing with them anymore, especially he had made this decision. When that question is answered, individuals begin to consider other options and other life choices they could have made. His plans, his future plans were truly dependent on his work, and he was fortunate to have Tinashe by his side. It took more than just being himself for him to succeed. When there is a key and people have found friendship and inspiration, they are prepared to take up their weapons and fight together, because playing the victim card is always a factor. It only takes a few humans to search the right people, and once that is done, mankind will not only sacrifice themselves to achieve greatness, but once the crisis has passed, they will seek to change the history books. People eventually become at peace with themselves and what is going on in their lives. Once they accepted that the possibilities of working towards goodness does work, good companies are founded. When individuals are deeply involved in reasoning and changing the world, knowing that they can do something positive, putting forth effort in belief that change is positive, there are numerous ways for humans to learn what it means to have such ambition. This includes changing the concept of luck and welcoming opportunities that others are constantly seeking. Having someone strong in spirit next to Maneko, he could have adopted and adapted to Tinashe's positive balance, as well as knowing what to say and when to say. People will be less in pain once they have realized the true cost of pain. And even then, there is a possibility that Maneko will squander an opportunity for his discovery, for his recovery, by refusing to assist Tinashe in his search for Makantini. Tinashe had one constant goal. He had prepared enough for. Tinashe had one constant goal he had prepared enough for. Having consistent days makes them much more special and appealing. And when nothing happens, there is the possibility of having something to work hard for and leaving the past behind. In addition, the detective had brought in drones and others followed in his footsteps. However, this police vehicle was capable of transporting more than just 8 people, and it was parked there when they arrived. People had to work hard to achieve what was best for them. They didn't actually anticipate to go there on that night, but they ended up going because they had prepared to do this the next morning. But the best way is to catch them while they are unprepared. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this. So we're definitely gonna jump into the next one on the next one. And if you do come in, please make sure you leave a comment, a like, and subscribe. You know the drill. I don't have to repeat this, people. But I gotta do it. Seems like repetition works every time. Juices, I'm out. Thanks for having me.